Hi.
Can you believe we're doing this?
No, I can't. I'm so excited. I've always wanted to do this, and then I get to do it with you.
I
Because
know. I know. I think specifically I've always wanted to do it with you.
and you came up with like such a great idea too. Like this whole thing is your idea, and it was a brilliant one.
I think it was both of our ideas. I think it really stems from like watching movies with you because I only ever want to watch movies with you and my wife obviously, but she's kind of like part of me, so
Yeah, and she falls asleep.
a little. She likes to nap. She's a Taurus. Why do I have stage fright? Okay. Do we want to just jump right into these
I think
movies? I mean,
let's not jump right into it. We don't have to get too hasty.
you're right.
Let's talk about more like who we are, since they have no idea. Because
Right,
like we
right,
we
right.
are popular, but not like to a lot of people quite yet.
Yeah, so there may be some people who don't know us. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah. So my name is Shane. I'm 29 years old in Austin, and I'm very single. I am a gay man, which is why I'm one of the podcasters on this podcast specifically. And when I watch movies, I like to watch a movie that makes me think. I like to watch a movie that you can tell is a very strong collaboratively made movie. So strong writers, strong actors, strong set designers, strong directors, but one where they allow each other to showcase their own strengths, which you do visibly see when you watch a movie. And my genres of, or I guess my like favorite genres are horror, thriller, and I love a good drama.
Because you are the drama.
I am the drama, you know?
Um, I'm Courtney. I like to
Hi,
watch
Courtney.
movies that don't make me think. I like to watch a good movie that's just like a feel good. Like, um, I sometimes I like to cry. I'm a Cancer, so I like to cry in during movies, and I also just like those older movies that are like, I wonder why they made that. Like what prompted someone to make that movie? It was good. It just like, where did it come from? You know?
Yeah.
Um, I'm also a gay man. Just kidding. I'm a gay woman. I'm married to a woman, and I think that we need a lot more gay people in the world who have a voice. So we're here to start that ball rolling.
Both of us have quite loud voices, or can.
Listen. Get me laughing. It's gonna get on your nerves, you know? Yeah, so this episode, we started with a couple of our favorite movies, and I really want Shane to go first because this movie was a doozy, and I want you to tell me all about it.
Yes. Okay. And I'm glad that you described your likes in movies that way, because I feel like this movie specifically is a why did they make that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the movie that Courtney prescribed to me, I looked at my notes just now, which are not done. um, the movie that Courtney prescribed to me was Clue, from 1985, with Tim Curry, our adorable man,
Yes.
who makes a lot of people feel some feelings.
Yeah.
And it's actually based off of one of my favorite board games, which automatically was a winner for me.
Yeah.
And so Clue is a movie for me that I have seen, well, probably since I was alive, since it came out before then. But whenever streaming services started up, I would always see it just on
Yeah.
Netflix, on Hulu, on HBO, on whatever. And I'd be like, oh, I need to watch that sometime. And then I never watched it. So this was my
Mhm.
first time ever watching Clue. But it was always one that I had always wanted to watch, just specifically because I love the board game.
Mhm.
And I didn't know it was going to be a comedy. I thought it was actually going to be a straight up whodunit,
Yeah.
which can turn into a comedy. But so I was I watched it with a very excited pre-notion going into it. I did get attacked by Taco Bell at the very beginning. They put sour cream in my chalupa, and I detest sour cream, and I almost died. But so I had to restart the movie. But it was really good. Okay, so my thoughts on it is definitely kind of along the lines of what I was saying earlier of like why did we make this movie? You know?
Yeah.
And I kind of did some research on it, and apparently that's kind of actually how it started. The writer or director of the movie, names are leaving me, you know. I apologize.
The director was Jonathan Lynn.
Jonathan Lynn. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was the director or the writer though. But one of them wanted to make a movie about this board game. Like that's what they wanted to do. I want to say it was the writer, because the director directed the Thriller music video. Don't know if you knew that.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Did not know if you knew that, but he did. So I think it was the writer wanted to do this, and it was met a lot with, how are you going to make something out of that? Because it's something like you don't inherently have a story in that board game. That board game specifically, because it's a randomized board game. So it can be Mrs. Peacock with a wrench in the library, or it could be Miss Scarlet with a rope in another one of the rooms. The billiard room.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's not really a story of a part of the game, which, you know, I worked with board games for a few years, you know this. A lot of board games do have stories in the board game. So like a lot of the pre-production was, how are you going to make something with it?
Right.
And then another problem that they ran into was, I don't know how to make an ending.
Yeah.
Oh, that little thing, you know. You don't know how to do that. Okay, so let's figure it out. So I think what I read was he outsourced writing the ending to a lot of people, and then that's kind of how we ended up with some of those multiple endings. But how I think they were also wanting to make it a stage production, or they did make it a stage production. Do you know this?
Yeah.
They did make it a stage production, and the purpose of that was, you would want to buy multiple tickets because the show would end differently every single time. So there was a little bit of marketing in there, but there's also some like fun storytelling in there too.
Yeah.
So they kind of did that with the movies, and apparently it was a huge flop. I don't know if you knew that, but apparently it was
I didn't know that, and that's actually really surprising.
Yeah, it was a huge flop, and it wasn't until like the mid '90s where like people our age started watching it and really liking it, and like maybe our parents who don't care what's on the TV as long as it has something intriguing, liked it or whatever. But like the comedy kind of started meeting up with the comedy that we liked in the mid '90s, and then it became like a cult classic. But it was critically not acclaimed when it came out, and it was because of how theatrical they made it. You know, it was because of how it looked like you were watching a play on screen, and there was theater gimmicks and stuff, and that was a dying art in the 80s. So that being said, I am a theater person. I love theater gimmicks, and I love this movie. I could not tell you the plot sometime in some of the moments. I couldn't tell you all four of the endings at this given moment if you were to put a lead pipe to my head in my office. But I was hooked in the entire time. I didn't feel the need to get on my phone I didn't feel the need to like pause it and step away. I wanted to continue watching it because I was intrigued and I was locked in. Whodunits do that to me. Like one of my favorite movies is Knives Out. And like it's because you know me, you know my brain. I want to guess everything before it's revealed. I want to make sure that I am tracking this plot correctly, and it's kind of like a challenge to myself, like to make sure I'm tracking the plot correctly and seeing if I can like do the arc myself or whatever. It's a little writing thing. I don't know. But I was actively trying to figure out who did it the entire time.
Yeah.
Guess who my number one suspect was?
Who?
I said guess.
Oh, sorry.
Who's not a killer?
I'm sure the butler was your number one suspect.
He actually was never a suspect for me.
He was never a suspect for
He
you.
was never a suspect for me.
Okay.
My
Who?
main suspect was Colonel Mustard. He was
Okay.
shifty. He was shifty and shady, and I
You
didn't
know
like
what
it.
it is? I'll tell you what it is. The thing that I love about this movie so much was that almost every single character is so queer coded. So queer
Yes.
coded.
Yes.
Colonel Mustard is the only like straight man.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about it like that.
And so I was like, I've seen this movie like 30
You're like,
times,
who the
but
fuck
every
are
time I
you?
watch it, I'm like, why are you here? Why were you invited to this party? You know?
You're not cool.
You're
Whose-
not cool.
Whose boyfriend are you?
Yeah.
No.
Who's a colonel nowadays? Stupid. Yeah.
But like, I mean, like he had something where like at that first dinner they were talking about like the bad things that they had done or whatever,
Right.
and like they went into everybody's, but like they kind of touched on his, and he shot it down.
Yeah.
And then there's another part where he was the one that suggested they all split up.
Yeah.
And I think that was brought up in one of the endings.
It
But like
was. Yeah.
whenever he said we should all split up, I said, "You're just proving my point right now, Buster. That's what you're doing."
Mustard.
Mustard. About to spread you on a fucking hot dog or something. Like it was him. It was him, but it wasn't. I think it was him in one of the endings. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie from 40 years ago. But
Yeah.
like he definitely was giving me killer. The other one that was like strongly giving me killer was Mrs. Scarlet, and she also ended up being one of the killers.
Yeah.
But something that they did with this movie, I didn't realize though, also all 4 endings, that's not how the movie was made. Like I think they did the theater gimmick thing with like showtimes, and so there was like 4 different movies or 3 different movies or something like that. But the one that we have now has all of the endings back to back.
Yeah.
So had I seen the other one, like the original ones where it was just one solid ending, I feel like I wouldn't have had that like moment where it kind of felt like it was everybody and like there wasn't really anything to guess or track or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess okay, the best way I can equate that feeling is when I read Murder on the Orient Express. Again, I'm about to spoil something that's been out for 50 plus years now. But when I read that book, it had the same thing with Clue, where the entire time there was just this much clues. There's this much to go on to kind of guess, only to find out that it was actually just everybody. You know, everybody was involved. Sorry, I don't know if you've read or watched Murder on the Orient Express. I might be spoiling that to you.
Listen, I haven't. It's been on my list to watch or to read it because I love that's Agatha Christie, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I love her. So it's on my list, but I'm sure I would have figured it out anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's still worth the read. It's still a great book.
For sure.
I actually own it if you'd like to borrow it.
Yeah.
But like that's how it ends, is everybody on the train was connected in this, and
Yeah.
Poirot figures it out or whatever. And I think it's like somewhat justified. I can't remember. But that was the same thing with this movie where I was like, okay, like I feel like I've had 4 solid clues this entire time. The rest has been like kind of like slapstick humor. And then I find out after all of these endings that it was kind of just everybody. But like, so it's kind of like that was a little disappointing, but at the same time, like I've been thinking about it, and I've been researching it a little bit too, just to kind of like get a little bit more facts about the movie. I kind of don't care. Whereas I did with Murder on the Orient Express, because that's what it wasn't supposed to be anything else other than like a whodunit. With this movie, like maybe that was the original intention of the movie, was to be a whodunit, but now I think it's just evolved into a campy cult classic. And like if I go to a drag show and they're doing a whodunit like campy show that evening, I'm not going to walk away and be like, there was not solid clues that entire time, and I can't believe they
What
made it.
was that plot?
Yeah, like I'm gonna be like, that was just a fun like whodunit themed
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
event
Oh
showcase,
my
you know,
god,
like,
If
and
Drag Queens did a whodunit show, I would be so poor. They would have all of my dollars.
let me rephrase that statement. If we did a drag queen themed whodunit, we'd be so rich.
Let's
Let's
okay.
do
If you're listening and you wanna steal that, idea, don't even think about it. I know where you live.
it. And she has a carabiner and a flannel, and she'll come and get you.
I know how to use it.
She uses it real well. But like, yeah, like because there's sometimes with movies where I come out with disappointment, and then I'm like, well, let's rejudge, because like there's sometimes with movies, especially horror movies. Me and Luke, or me and my friend, um, sorry, Luke, me and my friend Luke, we would fall into this trap over and over again, where we'd be like, oh, this movie coming out, it's supposed to be actually really good. It's supposed to be really scary. It's supposed to be really like one of the best horror films that's come out in a while. Like we've been getting good horror films, but none of them have actually felt like truly terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, and like, oh, like all the reviews are saying like this is like coming out of left field or whatever. And then we'd go see it and be like, oh, this isn't really that scary. Oh, this is,
Yeah.
I hate this movie. Ew, this movie's so boring. And then like you would like go out and live your life for like the next month, and everybody's like ranting and raving, oh my god, that's the best movie ever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? No, it's not. Like that was terrible. And then I would sometimes then go rewatch it without the whole like I guess status of the movie in my head, or like the review of the movie in my head, or how it's supposed to be in my head. I kind of go in knowing what it is, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a pretty good movie. It's
Yeah.
not the best horror movie ever, but like the movie itself isn't bad. I overhyped it, and so I didn't like anything about it whenever it wasn't a little bit scary. But like
Yeah.
without that overhyping, I go into it and I'm like, oh, this is actually a pretty good movie. You know? So like sometimes I do have to reevaluate like movies or whatever. And so like I had to do that with the whodunit aspect of this movie.
Yeah.
I do want to say Mrs. Scarlet is the gayest icon ever. I want her
She's
to
such an icon.
be my like I want her to be a CEO that I'm an executive assistant to, if that makes sense. Like I want her
Yeah.
to boss me around, but like we're gonna be having like a gay old time the entire time.
Yeah.
You know?
Like literally a gay old time. Yeah.
Her and Yvette. You know, her and Yvette.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And also kind of Mrs. White. I think Mrs. White could be like security.
Oh, Mrs. White. Okay. I thought you were talking about Mrs. Peacock. Did not like Mrs. Peacock. She was the worst
No,
character in my opinion.
she can I wish that she would have been the victim instead of Mr. Body.
Oh, speaking of Mr. Body,
Mhm.
I thought I don't know, stumbled upon like a hidden pun. It was probably the most like in your face pun ever, but it took me like maybe a little too long to catch it. Even though I did catch it like in the first scene it was mentioned, but they're like,
Yeah.
Mr. Body's coming, blah 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
And I was like recording myself watching the movie just in case anything good happened. Nothing good happened other than the fact that Taco Bell tried to kill me. But I looked at the camera right then and I was like, Mr. Body, because he's gonna be a dead body, because he's the dead body.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such that in itself, like being in the first 10 minutes of the movie, maybe even before, setting the grounds for this is gonna be a campy movie that you don't need to give a fuck about. Just have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Literally have no expectations because it's just gonna be funny. I think like this, like you said, this movie is based on my favorite game too. And the movie has been like a comfort movie for me to the point where if I'm sad, if I'm happy, if I'm trying to fall asleep, if I'm cleaning and I just need like background noise, I will put this movie on because it's my favorite movie. Um, and it's like the little like one-liners and quips. Like I think I wrote some down because I mean, obviously Tim Curry is hilarious. Like everything. And did you know Tim Curry was not supposed to play the butler?
Yeah, it was
It
supposed to be
was gonna be
Tim
someone else.
Rowan. No, not Tim Rowanson. I'm thinking Tim Curry right now. Alan Rowanson, or
Yes. something like that.
Cut this part out because we're gonna get killed. Rowan Atkinson is what I'm trying to say. My brain would not
Yes.
allow me. It's supposed to be
Yes.
Rowan Atkinson, and they said that he wasn't really wide known to American audiences quite yet. And then it was also supposed to be somebody
Crazy.
else. And then he passed away right when they started pre-production.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the director was like, "What about my friend Tim Curry, who just did Rocky Horror, another cult classic?" They didn't know that they were making a cult classic quite yet at this moment, though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
same with Mrs. Scarlet. Mrs. Scarlet was supposed to be Carrie Fisher, and she had accepted the role, but she sadly went to rehab right
Yeah.
when the movie started shooting.
Which, like, fortunately for her, she
go
went to
do
rehab.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
And she
But
turned
yeah,
out
it was. Yeah. I mean, I think all of the casting was like so phenomenal. But like, I just love the little lines. Like, they're talking about poetry or something, and Colonel Mustard, like, they're at the dinner table and he hands Mrs. Scarlet like a plate, but he's talking about Kipling and he's like, "Do you like Kipling, Miss Scarlet?" And she's like, "Sure, I'll eat anything." And that is so campy. That is so funny. Or then like at the end, so one of the endings, and again, like spoiler alert, it's been so many years. One of the endings is that everyone did it and Mr. Green is actually like an FBI agent, plant, whatever. And so he says, "I'm a plant." And Miss Scarlet says, "I thought men like you were a fruit because he's gay." And I like that. It's so homophobic and so funny. It is so funny.
I also love that he is the only openly gay character, and kind of like akin to Colonel Mustard. He's kind of the like lesser of the like quote unquote gay acting characters.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there is also another in one of the other endings where Mrs. White was the killer. She's like, she just made me feel flames on the side of the head. Raging fire. And then Mr. Wadsworth and then Mr. Wadsworth like cuts her off or whatever. That apparently was the only improvised line in the entire movie. Yet that's one of the lines that I remember the most is just like I'm like, I have that feeling every single day, girl, about anything. But like my belt loop catches the door handle, and then 2 seconds later, I drop the phone and it flips over the couch and goes into the yard. I feel flames on the side of my face too.
Yep. And I love that she improvised that, and it's. I mean, I think what makes it funny, like she is hilarious, but then it kind of pans to everyone being like, and I think that is the funniest part. Because you get to see everyone's reaction to that line, and it's hilarious. I wish that I would have been around in 1995 and just been a fly on the wall, because this movie is just wonderful. I love it.
I'll build a time machine just for you for that. I would do that.
That's so romantic. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's all I wanted to talk about with this. I mean, like, watch this movie over and over, and you'll see all of the funny lines. Like,
and I
wrote a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and don't be a watcher like me, where you have to pick everything apart and just watch it, get stoned, and relax, and watch it and have fun. Like, there's nothing complex about the entire movie. Just turn it on, have fun. Don't try to make it complex, because it's not. It won't work.
Don't sit down and expect to watch a movie that's going to make you be like, "Oh my god, that was a crazy movie," because it's not going to do that. It's just going to make you giggle. Like, and you're probably just going to like do that thing where you like blow a lot of air out through your nose instead of like a laughter, it's just like
I will say also, final thought that I do want to talk about, since we are gay men, as we said earlier. The driver that came up in the movie, like, he's just one of the people that gets murdered.
Yeah.
When he came on screen, I think my heart be stilled. And I was like, that is one of the most gorgeous, like, old Hollywood actors. Like, because he, like, put him in today's actors, he does not look like Henry Cavill. He does not look like, Jonathan Bailey. Doesn't look like any of, like, he's just like he probably look like just some standard white guy in
Yeah.
any movie nowadays. But like the way those old cameras captured those faces back then, that style or whatever, I was like, oh, this is like my old Hollywood fantasy man. Like
Yeah.
he was a gorgeous guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved every single part of it.
You're
There
like,
was like
yeah, relating to this so
I'm
much.
like, yeah, I wanted to jump his bones too. That's so crazy. I did write down some fun facts about this movie.
Ooh, fun.
So like you said, Carrie Fisher was originally cast to play Miss Scarlet. The entire cast received the same salary and billing, which is
Oh,
almost unheard of for 1985, almost unheard of for
right.
2025, but
And some of them were big
1985.
names coming into this project too. I
Yeah.
mean, I think
Yeah.
maybe all of them were already big names coming into this
Yeah.
project. Like even though she's my least favorite character, Mrs. Peacock was like in a huge movie. Can't remember what it was. Like it was like a war movie before
Yeah.
that. And then like Mrs. White was a like well renowned comedian.
Yeah.
Like I don't think like maybe she did stand up. I don't know, but like she did a lot of comedy shows and movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's Tim Curry. Like he had already done Rocky Horror. Like,
Mhm.
and so like yeah, to be billed the same, especially I will say, especially billing the women as high as the men
Yeah.
too.
I
That's
know.
kind
They
of
love
crazy.
equal pay. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think that
I
that was
mean, this
like
is
Tim
Hollywood we're
Curry
talking
taking
about.
back.
Like
Yeah.
they hate doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so Madeline Kahn, who played Mrs. White, she improvised the I hated her so much, flames on the side of my face. Um, and so the film was adapted for the stage and performed in 2020. And there's actually so it's not the same people who adapted it, but it's still going on. You can still go see Clue. Um, and I want to go watch them next summer because they'll be in my area around then. So
Oh, a little summer trip up to Washington for moi, if I'm not already there.
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But the original adaptation on stage was directed by Hunter Foster and it starred Sally Struthers and Aaron Dilly.
It was
Yeah.
directed by Hunter Foster.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so the movie that Shane prescribed to me was called The Night House, which was made in
Mhm.
2020, starring Rebecca Hall and Evan, I think it's Jonigett. I didn't look it up, but it looks like Jonigett. So I'm gonna go with that.
Let's do that.
Um, this okay. Scary movies are not my fave. And especially watching them alone, like I literally do this the entire time. Or this. I'll close my ears. Because I get scared. Um, because I don't like jump scares. I don't like gore. Like it's just, if it's like a good, like a suspenseful movie is fine. But this movie, I think I was just like, it gave me Invisible Man vibes.
Yes, I can see
Okay.
that. That's a really good
Yeah.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, if you haven't seen it, just a quick summary. So Beth is the main character. Her husband Owen commits suicide, and he leaves a note that says, "You were right. There is nothing. Nothing is after you. You're safe now." And then she moves into a house that he built for her. That was a vacation home or a summer home, I think.
Yeah, I can't really remember what it was to them, but like I think it was where they were going to end up like primarily living, like in
Oh,
the
okay.
future, like kind of like a retirement home, but they were going to use it while they were still working as like
Yeah.
a second home, basically.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it since I haven't seen it in a while. But I don't think it's really explicitly
Yeah.
fleshed out like what the
Like a
house is for.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was currently working on it. So like I think that's what
Mhm.
makes her feel so close to him by being there.
Yeah. Yeah. So she moves in and just kind of from the beginning, I just feel like unsettled. Just the whole time I'm like, and maybe it's because I know that it's a scary movie. But I just felt there was never a moment where I was like, oh, this is fine. It was never fine for me. Um, I was really confused for the first, like, 20 minutes, not because the movie itself was confusing, but because the feeling of the movie, I was like, "Why do I feel like this?" Um, so, like, I was annoyed because, of course, like, of course, the cheating husband, spoiler, kills himself, right? Like, you find out later, like, that he was potentially cheating on his wife, and, of course, he kills himself because he's not man enough to be like, "Hey, honey, I cheated on you," you know? Um, but the suicide note made me question everything that happened. I was like, "Why would they show that suicide note over and like, not over and over, but, like, they focus so heavy on that suicide note, so why would it matter?" You know? And so I
Yeah.
kept going back to it, and I had watched this movie, I think, with you years ago, and so watching it again, I tried really hard not to watch through my fingers. I didn't succeed all the time, but I I did my best. Um, so anyway, so the movie goes on, um, Beth starts to look into his life. She, like, checks his phone, she sees photos of other women that look like her, and so I'm like, "Oh, he's a cheater." She thinks so too. Um, but then I can't remember exactly in the timeline of it all. She starts to explore and she finds a house across the lake that is her house, but backwards. And like
Yeah, inverted. Like,
it's
it's
completely inverted,
yeah.
like mirror image. Yeah. And she sees in the window a woman that looks like her and her husband. And she was like, "What?" And so like this, right? And all I can remember
Yeah,
is
I think that looks like her and her husband.
all I can remember from that was, like, she saw it, and then she wakes up in her house again, and then she tries to go find the house again, but it's just this unfinished, like, not
Yeah.
even like a shell of a house, it was almost like it almost gave, like, cardboard vibes, if
Mm.
that makes
Like, it was
sense, like, it
very,
didn't.
very dilapidated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that transition is the transition uh, where she's kind of walking through the woods and it's like midnight, like 1,
Mhm.
and when she opens the front door, she sees herself sleeping on the couch, and then the person on the
Yeah,
couch wakes up and looks over and the front door is open.
yeah,
Um,
and there's no
I
one
think
there.
that's I think that's the transition of the scene
It is.
of what that is. And I think this might be where you were going with it, but I think that's kind of when you're starting to think like, okay, is she dreaming? Is she having some sort of like
Maybe.
PTSD from this horrible thing happening?
Yeah,
Or is this actually happening?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is this paranormal or psychological?
Yes, yeah. That's what I'm thinking the whole time is like, is this are these ghosts? Is she just like, because I mean, I can't even imagine losing my wife to any kind of tragedy, but, suicide. Like, I think that I would have to put myself in a home, for real.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, "Okay, maybe she's just going crazy." Like, maybe, like, actually, like, psychologically spiraling and she's not well. Um, and so anyway, so that happens, and then, she's so movie unravels. I think that's when she looks into his phone, sees all the women, and so
Mm.
she goes to find, one of the women and talks to her, and the woman, like I don't even know how to describe, like, the woman is just like, "Yeah, like, he wanted me to, like, be you," basically. Like, it was weird. It was a weird, like, interaction between the 2 of them. And so then I get to thinking, her husband was a serial killer. And this is how my brain is going. Her husband was a serial killer. He wanted to kill his wife, but he knew he couldn't. So he started killing clones,
The
and
inverse of her.
the inverse of her. And maybe he got this notion of like, once I kill my wife, my purpose will be gone. And
Mm.
so, like, so then I'm back at the suicide note. Nothing is after you. And it's not like nothing's after you, babe. It's after you there is nothing. That's where I was for a second. I was like, after you, there's nothing, so I have to kill myself.
Mm.
If like it has to be me because there's nothing after you. Um, so anyway, so that's kind of where I was going in my head, because she finds the house again and she finds bodies in it of women that look like her. And so yeah, but then she sorry, I'm all over the place because this movie, I mean, it was like
This movie is meaty. This movie has a
there's a lot.
lot to chew on. This movie has a lot to pick out. Again, this is the perfect showcase of the two movies we like. My movie, don't pick it apart. This movie, you have to pick it apart. Like
You have to. Yeah, because then in her own home, she is seeing like and you don't even really notice it at first. She's seeing outlines of someone, but they're made out of like it could be like the edges of a bookcase, and you kind of see it, but you're like, no, that's just like that's just how the shapes. That's
yeah,
just shapes. But then she sees it too.
yes,
And that's where it gets Invisible Manny. Like
yes,
it's
yes.
eerie.
That is the when you said Invisible Man earlier, I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then in the back of my head, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to give the false notion that this movie is the same tone, the same everything as
No.
Invisible Man. But that's exactly right. The the entity that tricks you in this movie, where you don't know if it's really paranormal or if it's really psychological, is a translucent figure. And so
Yeah.
it's like that's very Invisible Manny, and it's seen multiple times throughout the entire movie. And it walks, it has footsteps, you hear it walk, it
Mhm.
has handprints, it has all of the stuff. So it plays on that same theme as an Invisible Man. My favorite
Yeah.
thing about the figure, though, is every single time I watch this movie, which I've seen it like more than 5 times at this point, but
Mhm.
every single time I watch this movie, I see the entity in a new scene. It's
Mhm.
constantly there throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Um, and for anybody listening, that is like a camera or like not a camera, like a cinematography fan. This
Mhm.
movie is, and if you like horror, this is, I think, the most beautiful cinematography shot horror movie I've ever seen. If not just horror movie, like just movie, like the way that they show the entity, which we're gonna get probably to what the entity's name is here in a bit.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, it's shot kind of like what Courtney was saying, like the edges of a bookcase or a pillar make up its body, and you kind of vaguely see it, but the way they embody it is through lighting and angles, through the way that they
Mhm.
shoot the camera. So like you'll kind of see like the side of his head and like the shoulders, and then the camera will kind of change its angles, and boom, you have a full silhouette of like a body, and
Right.
it sends shivers down your spine, but it also sends shivers up my spine as like, that was so impressive and cool. Like,
Yeah. 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 It's a really good movie for like a movie nerd to really nerd out. Like
yeah.
it's a beautifully shot movie. The acting is lovely. It's just so unsettling. It's so
Re-
unsettling.
Rebecca Hall. This is something else. Another thing I tell Luke all the time is I trust Rebecca Hall with my life. So like any movie, I'm gonna go in saying this movie is gonna be good. That
Mhm.
her, Micah Monroe. I don't know if you know her name just by me saying it. She did It Follows. She was
Oh,
the
yeah.
girl in It Follows,
Yeah.
and Watcher, and did Long Legs,
Mhm.
which is on my list. But any movie that they're both in, I trust it. I trust it's going to be a good horror film. They're so good at acting. But the
Yeah.
thing is, I think they take on scripts where they have a fully 3D, just amazing, well-rounded character. They don't take
Yeah.
the worst characters ever. And character equals plots in term of writing. So like you can't have a good plot without a good character. You can't have a good character without a good plot. And that's not because one makes the other better. It's because they are
Mhm.
inherently the same thing. The plot is the character. The character
Yeah.
is and um I think they take they just know what characters and stories to enter in on. But the acting in this movie is so good, and like I am a sucker for a really strong character, but I'm a really strong, humongous sucker for a smart character. And I think
Yeah.
she was not only a very strong character, I think she was incredibly intelligent. She didn't back down. She trusted her gut. She like the way she found out about the like thread lines of all of the like random women
Mhm.
was so good at just like personal investigation. Like I was like, girl, I do the same thing when I'm trying to figure out what my name is after we meet or whatever. Like, but she was doing, and she like, I don't know, the way she like, oh, and in her neighbor, the way she interrogated him and didn't trust his answer and like knew that he was
Yeah.
lying. She didn't back down on shit. She and it was because she trusted her gut and she trusted her mind. And like that's so apparent even through somebody who is grieving as hard as she's grieving.
Yeah.
Girl
Yeah.
is grieving.
Yeah.
And she's still like, and I mean she's like finishing every single alcohol created in a lab on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet she still like understands that she needs to like hold her own and like can and like
Yeah.
she's on the right direction. She's finding out a lot of new things.
Yeah. And even her friend who is with her, and I'm spacing on her name. Her friend, I think, is telling her like,
I think it's Claire.
Claire. Yeah, that sounds like a good name. She kind of tells her like, you're grieving, like, let yourself grieve, but don't let yourself fall into this like well of like you're never going to know the answer. And I think if that were me, I'd be like, you're right, and I would just give up. Beth is like, no, get out. Get out, Claire. Um but yeah,
I
it's
honestly
it's
think
so good.
Claire reminds me of how you are a friend. Like not not like there is a scene where I'm like, okay, Claire, shut up. But like the way she like, like whenever those nosy friends are at the bar asking Beth about like what happened, and her friend's like, no, like y'all need to stop. Or like, and then like when Beth pulls out the note, she's like, you don't read that. You are somebody who like takes care of your friends when they're like when other people are coming at them, but you also take care of us when we come at ourselves. Like, and like I was like I remember that scene, and I'm like, oh, that's very Courtney coded. And then she also goes out to the house so many times.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't leave. You wouldn't leave, but
I would
like
move in.
yeah, you would move in, which because you're a better friend than Claire is, but like that and alone, like her just always being out there, like and checking on Beth, knowing that
Yeah.
Beth is like not doing okay. Very Courtney coded, by the way.
That is so sweet. That's so sweet of you to say. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think that if I were Claire and you were Beth and you were like, "Hey, like Owen's been killing like me-shaped people." I would be like, "Okay, hun, let's call the police." Like,
Honestly, yeah,
what?
that's not such a far cry from our actual friend dynamic.
Yeah, I would be like,
um,
let's call the police."
let's call
Maybe
Colonel Mustard.
maybe let's call Miss Scarlet. She would know exactly what to do.
Thank you. You know she calms me down.
Um, but yeah, so Beth eventually finds out. I mean, like several things happen in between this and kind of finding out. It is revealed that Beth had a I want to say near death, but she was dead. She was dead
Mhm.
for several minutes, and while she was dead, she when she comes back, she tells Owen there's nothing. Um, and the whole time he's like, "No, Beth, like there's something after death. There's something." And Beth is like, "No, like there's nothing. There's and it becomes apparent that nothing is like a physical form. And that is this entity that has been after her. Okay. So then go back to the suicide note. Nothing is after you.
You're
I have
right. There
chills.
is nothing. Nothing is after
Chills.
you. You are safe
I,
now.
I have chills thinking about it. And so anyway, after some struggles, it becomes apparent that Owen has experienced nothing because nothing has been after Beth since she died because she cheated death. So
Mhm.
nothing has been after her, and nothing has been trying to take Beth back and using Owen as like that vehicle to get Beth to death. um, and that's why he's been killing lookalikes. He's been trying to cheat nothing. And so anyway, so it hasn't worked and nothing is
Yeah.
still there. And Owen is like, I can't do this anymore. And he kills himself. But I don't really understand that you're safe now because she wasn't. Nothing was still there. So
Okay.
I think that I'm confused by that.
So Owen kind of did become a little serial killer, unfortunately. He was thinking uh, by what he was doing was he was stalling time and trying to trick nothing. He was trying to get nothing to get lost in the inverted house because of that book of demonology or whatever
Oh,
that he
yeah.
was reading. Kind of stated that like um, you can outmaneuver basically these entities or whatever. And
Mhm.
so he was trying to sacrifice these women to make death in an already confused state, or I don't want to say death because I don't think nothing is inherently just death. Um,
Mhm.
but he was trying to trick nothing in an already confused state in this inverted place that this was Beth. He had finally collected Beth or whatever. And so Owen then ends up committing suicide. Uh, I think it, again, I haven't seen it in a little bit, but from what I remember, I think it was something along the lines of like he took her place as
Mhm.
like a sacrifice to nothing.
Mhm.
Um, and and once that house and like with that totem and everything was completed, nothing would get trapped there. I think he was wrong. He thought that
Mhm.
she was safe now, but he wouldn't be able to like do a quality check after that, to see if it worked.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, the "you're safe now" comes from his sacrifice, but at the same time, I think it does have a double meaning where she is safe now. She through Owen's discovery and through Owen's plight of trying to take over nothing and get nothing out of their lives, he gave Beth every information bit that she was missing. She kind of had given up when she knew that nothing existed,
Mhm.
and like submitted to that because she thought that that was her fate. But seeing how hard Owen fought to get nothing out of there gave her all the materials she needed to take care of nothing herself to then make herself safe at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think his original intent with writing that note was my sacrifice will end it. But the way the movie plays out is his sacrifice didn't end it, but his sacrifice helped her end it.
Yeah. Which is really like as cliche as it is. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it should always end. Like I don't know. It was so crazy. And then the ending of it, I'm a little I'm a little fuzzy and like a little confused because at the end she's in a boat. She almost drowns, I think. She almost drowns.
She almost
No?
shoots herself.
She almost shot herself. Yes. Okay. She almost shot herself. She doesn't. Claire comes and is like saves her, I guess. Doesn't save her, but like gets her to back on land. Beth looks back at the boat and Claire says, "There's nothing in the boat." And she goes, "I know, because nothing is still there."
Mhm.
So I think I'm confused why she's still safe if nothing is still around.
Because nothing doesn't have control over her anymore. That's what it feeds off of, is the control. Um, and so nothing was trying to control her because she was in that dreamlike trance, which so you find out this is more of a paranormal story. It's not psychological. So
Mhm.
in her, she was still experiencing these trances though. And so in that like twilight trance where nothing is speaking through Owen's naked body, if you remember that,
Yeah.
he's sitting on the like the end of the boat, and she's sitting there with the gun, and he's like sitting there convincing her that there's no way to escape this. This is her fate. Like she has to do it. And then Claire comes and sees her like kind of hunched over in the boat. And so we get out of that twilight trance, and it's real time. And it's just Claire in the boat.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, she starts calling after Beth, swims out to Beth or whatever, which is something you would do. But I mean, I would do it too if that was you. But like, still, we're proving Claire is somewhat coordinated. But she swims out to her or whatever. But Beth beats nothing in that scene. She doesn't allow nothing to drive her to kill herself to finally let him reclaim her. And so she severs that control bind. And so that's why nothing can't like, or I don't think that's why nothing can't, but that's why nothing doesn't follow her out of the boat, because he doesn't have dominion over her anymore. But I do love that her neighbor sees the like outline of nothing, you know, to prove that like,
it's
okay,
real.
this is a shared experience. He might not understand immediately what Beth was going through and be like, oh, Beth wasn't going crazy or whatever. But like, that specific moment just shows that nothing is a provable, definitive thing that all of these people can experience.
It's like it's a shared experience, and not it proves that she was never truly like making it up or this like figment of her imagination, you know. It proves that like Owen didn't die for nothing.
Exactly.
Gotcha there. I didn't mean to do that.
you did that thing though.
It was a really good movie, but you know how I am with scary movies, and I think that what this podcast, if nothing else, this podcast is going to make me I may never be comfortable with scary movies, but I at least will say I watched it.
It's like working around kids. You'll build up your immune system a little bit. You know, like your resilience will grow.
Maybe. Yeah, I was there's a movie that I saw the other day, and I was like, oh, I bet this is on Shane's list, and I can't remember what it is, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch that probably.
Yeah. I will say, to be fair, the 3 movies for the very first movie I was going to that I was deciding between, this was the only horror movie of those 3 movies. But there is a lot of horror movies on my list. You're right. You got to buckle up and be prepared. But at this, the caveat to that though is it's not like I'm not going to make you watch like Saw 7. You know, like just to watch Saw 7. You know, like not saying Saw 7's bad. Couldn't tell you which one that one was, but like, all of these movies have like either really strong horror devices that are like, if every horror movie could try to capture this somehow, there'd be more just amazing horror movies out there. There are a lot of amazing horror movies out there, but like something like The Strangers, like that is my favorite movie. Just that, like, oh, and I wrote this will tie into that, like, you know how you're talking about in the first 20 minutes you had this real, you were already kind of scared, but there was nothing happening. You just had this like feeling. I wrote down in my notes, it's the only note I wrote on my notepad today. Feeling of dread. So a good horror movie captures like a sub feeling where it's you're scared, but it goes a little deeper into your fear feelings, like in your feeling wheel, and you're dreading something. It's in if a movie can cause you to dread something, especially really early on, in my opinion, that is really good story making, because in the exposition phase of the story, they've already implanted so many seeds to cause you to already be dreading what's to come.
Yeah.
Like, and dread is such like a powerful feeling where it's just like, oh,
It's
like, oh,
visceral. Yeah.
it's gonna come, it's gonna come, you know, like,
Yeah.
and so a movie like The Strangers, that is a dread-based horror film. You're dreading the fact when these cats finally eat their mouse, you know.
Yeah.
But while they're playing with it, it's like, what are you gonna do next? I'm dreading what you're going to do next. And not all horror movies can capture things like dread, where it's, you know, there's whether it be, and that's what I mean by like horror mechanics, where it's like a bad horror film for me is where you turn it on, it relies on shock factor, it relies on jump scares. There isn't really any sort of like story other than the fact that maybe these teenagers went to the wrong cabin or something like that. Like, those can be fun, but like to me, a good horror movie is something like The Night House, where it has really great horror mechanics. It has unique horror mechanics, like the way that they shoot nothing and embody nothing, like the way that they, you know, tied that poetry into it, or like his final note or whatever. Um, like all of those kind of things are so unique, and like the note, that is a device in the movie that is from the beginning all the way to the end, never loses importance, only gains importance. Nothing is submitted into the movie that doesn't really mean anything. You know, like
Right.
the totem meant something, the note meant something, like the inverted cabin meant something. And they all have, all of those little devices have their own story arc too, to go into the
Yeah.
big overall story arc. So that's the horror that's on my list, is horror that like is just grandiose and or has like a meaningful story where you can learn something from it. Like from The Night House, I think that's a movie about grief and depression and how you handle and cope with things. You know,
Yeah.
like, and if you watch it through that lens, you can kind of learn something from it, you know?
Yeah. I agree. And I think it also, it kind of it reminded me of, um, like, uh, sorry, I'm trying to find the words here. I think that when you're someone who potentially is afraid of death, so like death is fearful. Whenever I think about death, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen after that? Obviously, who knows? You know, nobody, like you said, from when Owen died, there was no way for him to have a quality check of like if it
Yeah.
actually worked. Um, but I think that this movie kind of reminds you, like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Like everybody dies. You
Mhm.
know, it's 100% of people are affected by death,
Yeah.
and uh, you know, you shouldn't live your life afraid of it. You should live your life like knowing that it's there and almost accepting it and
Mhm.
kind of becoming its friend almost, you know, which
And it's
is
like, and like when strong, horrible things happen to you, don't push it down.
yeah.
Don't push it down. Don't get over it. Don't just forget about it or whatever. Cope with it.
Mhm.
Cope with it. Like that's the only way that you're going to release your attachment to things, is if you cope with it, you know? And Beth was not a coper. Beth
Mm-mm.
was an escaper. Beth was an avoider. She wanted to
Mhm.
drink her problems away. She wanted to stay over control in her emotional
Mhm.
regulation and not let it go, you know? And it caught up with her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lovely movie. I loved it. It was it for I was confused for most of it, but I it was a fun watch. And I think after I watched this movie, I immediately watched Clue afterwards because I was like, I need a palate cleanser. And I also needed to like I mean, I think at this point I could probably recite Clue front to back, but I just
I was gonna
needed like a
say,
re-up.
I want to emphasize how important Clue is to you. It's the only movie in her Fandango library.
It is. That will change eventually. I will buy more movies eventually. Um, I don't have any fun facts about this one. But I mean, it was beautiful. Like you said, it was beautifully filmed, and um, I could not have asked for different actors. Evan Jonigett actually was just in The Hunting Wives on Netflix. and
Oh, I've been meaning
I don't
to
know,
start
have you
that.
watched it? Okay.
No, I haven't,
Uh,
but, like, I feel like it's something that Shane would like.
I think you would like it. It's
It might
not,
be a little
like,
too soapy.
tropey, is that what you said?
Soapy.
Soapy. So I don't think soapy would be the word for it. I will say, like, we're gonna have a little mini episode here. The Hunting Wives is really it's something to watch for sure. If you need a
Heard.
show to watch, watch The Hunting Wives. You will know immediately who did it. So there's someone who has died in the who has died, who is killed in the very
There's
beginning.
somebody who has died.
There's someone who has died. In the very beginning, there is someone who is killed, and almost immediately you know who did it. And that's kind of annoying because you do want that, like, whodunit feel of it, but, it's so there's queer relationships in it, which is nice to see that representation. However, it's more sexualized, which, as you know, pisses me off
Always
because
is.
that's not the only thing that queer people do. And like straight people do it too. So why don't we, everything is sexualized nowadays. But anyway, um, but I will say, like, Brittany Snow is in The Hunting Wives, and she's wonderful. And I'm spacing on the name of the actress who plays Margot, who is one of the other main characters. Um, and she was also great. But just kind of the storytelling of it all is a little derivative and predictable. It's a good show to watch. I don't think I would watch the second season if one comes out.
Heard. Okay.
uh, You know.
Malin Ackerman is Margot, by the way.
Yes, yeah, and she's great. She's in the Final Girls. Final
She's in
Girls?
Watchmen too.
Yes. She's a great actress. I think she's lovely. Final Girls is on my list because that's another, like, it's not a feel-good movie by any means. It's like, it's almost a, parody of, like, slasher films, which is
Mhm. Which
really
plays
up
on
my
the trope
alley.
of the final girl. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's really good.
Okay, so how how do you view the Night House as any queer elements or gay elements?
Oh
Putting you on the
gosh,
spot.
from a queer standpoint, I mean, mental health, grief, um, like the the idea of not being afraid of something, because you'll notice, like, the more queer people that you know, especially queer men. I have a lot of queer guy friends who grew up, unfortunately, having to sort of mask and, like, push down those queer feelings, like, not to be stereotypical, but, like, going out for the football team and, not doing theater, not doing choir because they have to seem more, like,
Talking about
manly.
girls, maybe even dating them.
Yeah, yeah. Bragging about their, like, sexual conquest with women, which is, like, gross. But even
Attacking women to save your own sexuality.
yes, yeah. Um, so, I think, like, the tones of this movie are deal with what's happening inside of you, because if you don't, it's actually going to manifest into something, you know, uh, menacing.
Monstrous.
Yes.
Demonic.
Um, yes, because, you do see, like, if you push down fear, you push down grief, you push down feelings, eventually they're gonna come to a head, and it could be, it could come out represented as violence or anger. And I think this movie does a really beautiful, um it has a really beautiful way of kind of telling you, like, just let it go, babe, like, just breathe through it because nothing's after you. So, I
Yeah,
think
by the
from
way,
a
nothing is after you, by the way.
nothing is after you. But I think from a queer perspective, I think, that's just how I see it. I constantly just see struggle in queer people. I know that
Mhm.
everyone struggles, but, queer people, unfortunately, especially in today's world, have to deal with it a lot more. So, if you're listening and you're struggling, I think just remember that it eventually gets better, and, go to therapy. Therapy is so helpful to everyone. Even if you feel like you don't have any trauma, you don't have any quote unquote problems, like, you should still go to therapy because just talking about your emotions, your thoughts, your fears, like, we weren't born into this world with an instruction manual, and
And
talking
we
to a
never get
therapist,
one.
we never get one. Talking to a therapist or talking to anybody is so helpful.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head just then. Like, because I was thinking, like, okay, what, like, if I feel like, as gay people, we obviously make everything gay. We can make anything gay, and that's our mission on this earth, is to make everything.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how can you make the Night House gay? And like, I mean, I know this podcast isn't like, how is every single movie we watch a little bit gay? It's just people who are gays' opinions on it or whatever, and how we know our gay culture, and we have a certain lens and how we view things, and so like that's what the podcast's mission is. But I do want to see, like, if we can make a little some gay things out of everything. But that's exactly what I was thinking. Like with the Night House specifically, I think it is like, like our culture sadly has one of the highest mental health problem numbers in statistics across all other demographics, and especially our trans women or trans Black women. And it's appalling about how, like, not talked about, how not cared about it is and stuff. And so like a movie like this is a really good representation of one side of depression and grieving and not coping with yourself. And so like I think it's just a great movie to showcase that, like, even if depression is biting you on the back of the neck, like it's about to get you, you can still conquer it. You can still remove your attachment to it, and you can still release its control. And it'll always be there, but it won't be following you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Aside from the glaringly bisexual characters of Clue, would you say there are any any queer highlights we should discuss on that one?
Yvette's outfit, the driver, Tim Curry being there. I don't know if heard of him.
Tim Curry existing.
And I think with Clue, the gayest thing for me was the theater gimmicks and the theater humor. That everything on screen is still physical and verbal humor that is just taken from a set on stage. Like Mrs. Peacock fainting, him going to catch her, and him and her falling through the hole. So gay.
Yeah.
That is so gay.
Yeah.
And I do also think, I think I already said this, but the fact that Mr. Green, who is the gay character, was not gay acting whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's so gay because they're like, everyone else is so gay. We don't need you to be gay.
Yeah. Like we don't even need you to like pile it on, because Miss Scarlet is in the room and she's like doing one of these numbers.
Yeah.
And that is so queer coded. I think truthfully it's so theatrical, and like everything theatrical is, gay, and I just love it so much. Yeah.
And the like dancing gram too, like she like just dances and then just that's like,
yeah.
I don't know how to explain it for any heteros listening. That is gay. I don't know how to explain it to you. That's gay.
Yeah, it's so gay. I love it.
We all have our finger pistols at all times.
We do. Don't talk about it.
Don't mess with me.
Oh man. Yeah.
Okay,
these were some very good movies.
Should we prescribe next week's movies?
Oh my gosh.
We're doing these weekly or something. Should we prescribe next week's movies, or do you need time, and do you want to do that to me via text message?
I think that it would just be so fun to just like pick from my list, because I have my little list right here.
Yeah, I have my little list right here too.
I'm gonna have to go Disney movie on this, and it's gonna have to be Motocrossed.
Motocrossed. Okay. We're going full on lesbian here. I think
Yes.
we're going to have really good content next week
is-
for how this is a
this
gay
movie-
movie.
I was gonna save this for next episode, but Motocrossed was my bi awakening. That's all I'm gonna say. Motocrossed was my bi awakening.
Oh gosh, I wasn't going to do a horror movie, but one of these movies on my list is A Gay Awakening, but I'm sure you've seen it a million times. Plus I have that as a series that you're
Oh
going
my
to watch.
goodness.
Maybe no. Okay, no. I actually I'm going to give you what I was maybe going to give you this week.
Mhm.
And it's not a horror movie. I'm giving you a movie called The Whale.
With Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Is that our first episode?
that's our first. Are we done with our
Are
first
we-
episode?
Are we wrapped?
Are we podcasters?
Are we like Karen and Georgia or like whatever the other podcasters' names are?
Are we Ash and Elena? I wish. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening to our first ever episode of Queer for the Credits. We love you.
And I hope you stayed queer for the credits. Roll the credits, Courtney.
Bye.
I'm so proud of you for being bi.